Hestia was the first child born to Cronus and Rhea, emerging at a moment when the cosmos itself had not yet learned stability. Existence had form, but not continuity, and being did not yet know how to persist through time. Her birth carried no prophecy, no sign of upheaval, because she was not a god of change or rupture. She embodied presence before meaning, existence before motion. That presence was denied almost immediately. Cronus, fearing loss and succession, swallowed her without hesitation. She was erased before she could be seen, removed before identity could take shape. From this act, her nature was formed. Life could exist even when denied expression, and survival could precede recognition. Inside Cronus, time did not move. There was no sequence of moments, no growth, no decay, no future or past. Hestia existed in absolute suspension, where duration did not accumulate meaning. Fear and hope were impossible because both require change. In this stillness, she learned a fundamental truth of existence. Being does not require movement to remain real. Identity can persist without expression. Stability can exist even when nothing advances. Hestia did not resist her condition. Resistance would have required motion, and motion did not exist. She did not imagine escape or cultivate resentment. Instead, she held herself intact within the stillness. This endurance was not passive. It was active containment of self. Her essence condensed rather than dissolved, forming permanence instead of fracture. From this, she learned that strength can exist without action. When Zeus overthrew Cronus, the swallowed gods were released into the world. Hestia emerged last, carrying the longest memory of silence and suspension. The cosmos she entered was loud, divided, and restless, already shaped by struggle and victory. She did not rush to claim power or territory. She observed the instability beneath triumph. Freedom had brought motion, but not balance. The world moved, yet it did not rest. The Olympians divided existence into realms through declaration and force. Sky, sea, earth, and death became territories of command. Power was defined by distance from others and control over space. Hestia perceived what was missing. The cosmos had edges, but no center. Everything expanded outward, away from cohesion. Motion ruled all things, but nowhere did it gather. Hestia chose not the sky, nor the sea, nor the depths. She chose the middle, where forces pause before becoming destruction. This was not a throne, but a stabilizing point within existence. By choosing the center, she rejected domination entirely. She became balance rather than authority, containment rather than command. Power was redefined as the ability to hold. Fire emerged as the visible form of Hestia's essence. It was not lightning or wildfire, but a steady flame that burned without hunger. It did not advance, conquer, or consume. This fire transformed emptiness into shelter and cold into warmth. It allowed life to gather without fear. Continuity became visible and livable through flame. From Hestia's fire came the hearth, the first sacred structure of mortal life. It was built not to honor gods, but to preserve the living. Around it, people gathered to eat, rest, and endure. The hearth turned survival into community. Memory formed through shared presence. Hestia entered human life not as ruler, but as necessity, O flame. Hestia's flame did not function as a weapon or a signal of divine wrath. It established order through repetition and predictability, teaching mortals that continuity itself could be sacred. The hearth burned at the same place each day, turning space into home and time into rhythm. Through this constancy, fire became an unspoken law governing daily existence. Unlike the volatile flames of Hephaestus or the consuming fires of war, Hestia's fire defined boundaries without violence. It taught restraint, patience, and care. Civilization learned that not all power must expand outward. Some power must remain in place to sustain life. Hestia did not demand temples of stone or statues raised in her image. Her worship occurred quietly, through maintenance rather than spectacle. She was honored when fires were tended, meals shared, and spaces preserved. This silence was not neglect but intention. Her divinity manifested through absence of excess. By refusing grandeur, she ensured her presence everywhere. No home could exist without acknowledging her, even unknowingly. Hestia rejected marriage not from fear or aversion, but from understanding. To bind herself to another god would fracture her role as center. Her virginity symbolized autonomy, not purity. Through this choice, she remained indivisible. Her loyalty belonged not to lineage or desire, but to balance itself. In remaining unattached, she ensured that the hearth served all equally. When disputes arose among the Olympians, Hestia did not intervene through argument or decree. She remained present, absorbing tension rather than resolving it directly. Her presence stabilized conflict by preventing escalation. Even Zeus respected this quiet authority. The center could not be commanded. Without Hestia, Olympus itself would fragment under competing wills. The hearth preserved memory not through words, but through repetition. Each flame carried the echo of all previous fires. Through ritual acts, mortals connected past and present seamlessly. Hestia became the keeper of continuity. While other gods governed events, she governed endurance. History remained livable because something always stayed the same. Every city founded began with a flame taken from an older hearth. This act symbolized inheritance rather than conquest. Civilization expanded not by erasing origins, but by carrying them forward. Hestia thus governed colonization without violence. New beginnings were anchored to old stability. Expansion did not mean rupture, but extension of the center. When cities fell, Hestia's flame often died last. Even amid destruction, people returned instinctively to the hearth. In moments of collapse, it reminded them of what once held. This endurance transformed loss into survival. Hestia did not prevent disaster, but she softened its aftermath. Her presence allowed rebuilding to begin. Hestia's stories lack dramatic conflict because she existed beneath it. Her mythology unfolded quietly, in daily life rather than heroic narrative. This absence of spectacle ensured longevity. She became invisible not because she was weak, but because she was essential. The world forgot to mythologize her precisely because it depended on her. As Olympian power stretched across sky, sea, and underworld, Hestia's hearth remained the only point that did not move. It functioned as a cosmic axis, a place where motion slowed and existence gathered into coherence. The gods ruled domains, but Hestia governed orientation itself, allowing beings to know where they were in relation to one another. Without her center, all realms would drift into isolation. This axis was not vertical, like Zeus's lightning or Poseidon's depths. It was horizontal, spreading through homes, cities, and borders. The hearth aligned heaven and earth not through command, but through continuity. Existence remained intelligible because something always stayed. Daily ritual became Hestia's primary language. Lighting the fire, preparing food, and preserving space were acts of devotion without spectacle. Through repetition, chaos was prevented before it formed. Life became inhabitable rather than merely survivable. These routines transformed time itself. Days gained structure, seasons gained rhythm, and generations gained memory. Hestia ruled not moments of crisis, but the long stretch between them. Civilization endured because the ordinary was made sacred. Hestia formed an unspoken covenant between mortals and gods. As long as the hearth burned, the divine order acknowledged human life. Sacrifices began and ended with her flame, recognizing stability before petition. This covenant required no oath. It existed through mutual dependence. Gods needed the center as much as mortals did. Without Hestia, worship would scatter into noise without meaning. As belief in the Olympians weakened, temples fell and names faded. Storms no longer bore Zeus's authority, and seas no longer echoed Poseidon's will. Yet hearths continued to burn. Even as myths dissolved, Hestia endured the decline without loss. Her divinity was not tied to belief but to function. As long as people gathered for warmth and safety, she remained present. She outlived mythology by becoming necessity. In human psychology, Hestia manifested as the need for belonging and return. Wanderers longed for a center, and survivors sought reconstruction. The hearth became symbolic of inner stability. Through this, Hestia extended beyond physical fire. She governed emotional grounding and continuity of self. Identity persisted because something within remained constant, even when circumstances changed. Unlike other gods, Hestia never entered war, rivalry, or revenge. This absence of conflict was not avoidance, but transcendence. She existed beneath opposition itself. Her power lay in neutrality that stabilized extremes. Where Ares destroyed and Athena strategized, Hestia preserved. Conflict ended where her influence began, because destruction cannot persist where continuity is protected. Hestia did not depart the world when gods retreated into myth. She remained embedded in architecture, culture, and habit. Every home rebuilt her temple, unknowingly. Her eternity was not narrative, but structural. She existed wherever life required grounding. The world continued to orbit an unseen center. Hestia never ruled, never conquered, and never demanded. Yet without her, neither gods nor mortals could endure. She held existence together by remaining still while everything else moved. In this, she became the quiet foundation of reality. The world did not collapse because someone stayed. That someone was Hestia. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share your impressions of the video.